Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Maureen Maguire, and I am president of Soroptimist International. Thank you for attending what I hope will be an enjoyable and learning experience. This evening at 7 p.m. where I live in Northern Ireland in the UK, I'm delighted to host Soroptimist International first of 3 training sessions in order to help you navigate CSW66. This is an initiative of 3 Soroptimists, Leigh, Bev, and Ulla. So may I, on behalf of you, thank them for their time, hard work, and energy into making this happen. The 66th session of CSW will take place from the 14th to 25th of March. Once again, due to the continued implications of COVID-19 pandemic, all side events and parallel events will take place online. There is recognition that the active participation of non-governmental organizations, NGOs for short, is a critical element in the work of CSW. Many NGOs have been influential in shaping the current global policy framework on women's empowerment and gender equality, and they are continuing to play important roles in holding international and national leaders accountable for the commitments that they have made over the years. Soroptimist International is one of those NGOs. We have a wonderful panel of Soroptimists who work at the United Nations centres around the world, and we owe them our thanks for the work that they do on our behalf. I will now hand over to Leigh Ellwood Brown, our Soroptimist International Director of Advocacy, who will outline the goals and objective of this session, and she will be our moderator for this event. Leigh, over to you.
Thank you, President Maureen, and greetings to Soroptimists and friends from around the globe. As Maureen said, she's from Ireland and I'm from Australia, so we're all around the 24-hour clock, so thank you for participating. Firstly, can we have a little housekeeping? Questions and answers will be called for at the end of the 4 presentations that we will give you. And when you leave the Zoom platform, you'll be asked to complete a survey. Your feedback would be very much appreciated. Thank you. Please keep your microphones muted, and you will be asked to open your mic as you ask questions at the end of the presentations. With a show of hands, how many people with us today have been attending or have attended a CSW meeting before? Okay. So we still have a lot of new people, which is wonderful to see. We hope this presentation helps you today. Our goals and objectives, just one moment until I get these slide up for our goals and objectives. For you to gain knowledge about the UN CSW and NGO CSW, to upskill your advocacy strategies, to help you plan how to get the most out of CSW66, and to set up a path of collaboration between SI and the Federation Advocates for CSW. I'd like to introduce our presenters to you today. Sorry, it's break of day here. I keep wanting to say good morning to you so that you can take this wonderful journey to educate you on the logistics and how to be a better advocate whilst you master the NGO CSW and UN CSW virtual meetings, events and forums for CSW66 in 2022. Introducing our own Soroptimist International UN representatives that will present to you during this session. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Vanesa. Can we see you, Vanesa?
Hi, everyone.
Introduce Vanesa Triers, who represents Soroptimists in the UN Centre of New York, and thank her for taking the lead on this training package for you all. Vanesa will cover the subjects of what is CSW and through to CSW66. Now I'm going to let you know a little about the other 3 presenters as well, so the presentation will just flow. Secondly, you will hear from Francis, Zainoeddin, also at SI UN rep. Francis.
Hi, everyone.
there?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Thank you. And Francis will cover the important documents, CSW events, and meetings and logistics. Christine Peer is another one of our SI UN reps from the UN Centre in Vienna. Christine
Hi, everyone. Nice meeting you.
will speak to us about how we can make the most of CSW and how to be an advocate, also resources for advocacy. Mary Muia, who represents us at the UN Centre in Nairobi in Kenya. Mary, you want to say hello?
Hi, everyone.
We'll talk of our SI social media toolkit, ideas for social media, and how to get maximum coverage by the use of hashtags. So I'll hand over to Vanesa.
Greetings to everyone from New York. I'm Vanessa Trees, and I am a SI UN rep based in New York. And I'm going to talk today about what is CSW. So the question here is, and for many people, is this a UN process or is this a civil society process? So I'm gonna let you have your own thoughts about this after my presentation. The actually Commission on the Status of Women is a global intergovernmental body exclusively dedicated. Oh, sorry, just give me 1 second. Exclusively dedicated to the promotion of gender equality and empowerment of women. The Commission on the Status of Women is a functional commission of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, one of the main UN organs within the United Nations, and it has 45 members on its commission. Now, what is the difference between the UN CSW meetings and the NGO CSW forum? Well, we have two different processes within one. The UN CSW, the secretariat is UN Women. It has intergovernmental meetings where member states meet and discuss gender and equality issues, happens at the United Nations. It requires a registration for CSW for people and organizations that are ECOSOC accredited. It holds official side events that are hosted by the UN at the UN, and it usually needs to be facilitated or co-working with the member states and NGOs and other organizations. It conducts an expert panel on issues and expert papers. It also has some regional CSW preparatory meetings. Now, within the same, we have the NGO CSW Forum, which convenes the civil society. This year, for example, and this is a new thing for NGO CSW since all the meetings are virtual, they are organizing conversational circles virtually. So in this way, you could engage on that. It has feminist and women's rights groups and networks. It's a non-governmental organization, NGOs and civil society, or organizing the forum, facilitated by NGO CSW. The registration for the forum is open to the public. It holds parallel events, no side events, parallel events, because it's parallel to the process at the UN. And it offers written statements to the CSW and also oral interventions. NGO CSW also holds regional meetings. CSW66, which is this year, Usually CSW has a priority theme and a review theme. For this year, the priority theme is achieving gender equality and empowerment of all women and girls in the context of climate change, environmental and disaster risk reduction policies and programs. The review theme that comes from CSW61 is women's economic empowerment in the changing world of work. Now, Soroptimist International is organizing a series of webinars. This is the first one, but we also have two more, and they're going to be focused on the themes. The webinar happening on 19th of February is going to be oriented to the priority theme, and the webinar happening on the 5th of March is going to be focused on the review theme. Everyone can register at soroptimistinternational.org. Within this process of CSW, organizations that are ECOSOC accredited had the opportunity to provide recommendations that are sent to UN Women and to NGO CSW. So it is important as a Soroptimist to know what we are recommending. There is a paper that has been generated by Soroptimist International and is already posted at the UN Women website. The paper is 3 pages long, and I'm not gonna go too much on it, but it has 3 main areas of action, and it has 11 recommendations. The 3 areas of action where we are recommending is education and training, the gender impacts of climate change on armed conflict and humanitarian situations, right to a safe, clean, healthy, and sustainable environment. So just to give an example of some of the recommendations, some of the 11 recommendations, we are, for example, on the gender impacts of climate and change and armed conflict and humanitarian situation, since it's so and it's so affecting women and girls negatively, we have a series of recommendations on this subject. I am gonna show you how the paper looks like if you go into the UN website, CSW66 official documents. And this is Soroptimist recommendations or written statement to CSW66. Next, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Frances Zainoeddin. The floor is yours, Frances.
Hi, thank you. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you. I'm Frances Zainoeddin, and I'm an SI rep in New York City. Your attendance at this webinar implies that you are interested in what is happening at the global level concerning gender equality. By being aware of gender equality at the global level, we hope that we can then strengthen and improve our work at the local level. It's important to attend the official meetings through UN Web TV, where you can just log in to the United Nations website, and to hear what governments are saying about the issues. And what Vanesa has been pointing out about the NGO CSW forum is where you will attend meetings, parallel events to learn what NGOs are doing about gender equality. So the review theme is based on the discussions that were held in 2017 with the agreed conclusions. And you can access this just to take a look at what was agreed in 2017 in the context of the review theme this year, which is, as has been mentioned, women's economic empowerment in the changing world of work. So please have a look at that and pay attention to what has been changed since 2017 and how things will change in the agreed conclusions that's going to be drafted as well. So in 2021, CSW also adopted agreed conclusions, and it's a good idea to see what was approved last year. It was on the issue of full and effective participation in decision-making in public life, as well as the elimination of violence for achieving gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls. And please pay attention to the language that is used, the words that are used. So it's always a good idea to have a look at what's happened in the past in order to understand what is going to happen in the future, meaning in March. Just to give you an idea, my focus is on older women. So whenever I see or read a UN document about women, a resolution about women, the one word I look for is older women. I don't find it very often, but that's part of my advocacy work in making sure that older women are included. During 2021, there was also an expert group that met in order to prepare for CSW66. And the expert group met in October last year to provide expert assessment and recommendations on a number of papers that had been submitted on the priority theme. So have a look at that document and see what recommendations will find their way into the agreed conclusions this year. So this year, 2022. So it's a good idea to look at what the country reports that are submitted to UN Women to find out what your own countries are saying about gender equality, climate change, whatever it is, and check them out and see whether you agree with the government's assessments and see whether you should have participated in preparing those reports. The NGOs CSO forum that has been mentioned by Vanesa, which is a forum that facilitates civil society NGOs actions during CSW. The NGO CSW actually has submitted recommendations to the zero draft itself. The recommendations are really issues, they're not yet language, but when the time comes for the zero draft to be prepared, it will use some of the issues that the NGO CSW, the NGO Committee on the Status of Women, has recommended. So for the zero draft CSW66, it will come out around the end of January, beginning of February, and will be subject to negotiations throughout the period before the CSW and also during the period, and it goes through different stages and different revisions of the zero draft. There's a lot of negotiation that goes on. And what happens during the drafting and the revisions of those drafts is that governments are looking for words. There's no longer time to say, oh, we should talk about this or we should talk about that. No, everything that goes into the zero draft will be actual language and revisions of language. And so we have a team, Soroptimist has a team that will be working on the zero draft once it's available. So Soroptimist collaborates with other NGOs to demonstrate a coordinated effort, strength in numbers. And nothing that is agreed is attributable to any one organization. It's the work, coordinated, collaborative work of many hundreds of NGOs towards this. And bear in mind that our recommendations from civil society have to go through the member states. Our recommendations go to member states and they make the official proposals at the meeting. Now, how should we use the agreed conclusions? When we go about our work, remember that what has been agreed at the global level, and you look at what has been agreed and use those agreements to point out to your national and local authorities about what they are supposed to be doing. So the whole point is for local concerns to reach global level and for global recommendations to flow back to the local level. As Vanesa has already pointed out, have a look at Soroptimist's statement to see what we've recommended so that we know. And also when you participate in side events and parallel events that we're going to go through now, you can use some of that language. What do we stand for? What are we proposing? So when we attend meetings, we should be using the Soroptimist position. So yes, the Soroptimist, the key issues, Vanesa has already pointed out. So just keep all that in mind as you attend all the meetings and when you connect with other NGOs to understand what our position is. Next slide, Vanesa. Good. All right, so this year, again, the meetings are going to be all virtual. There are a lot of events that take place leading up to the CSW and during CSW. I would like you to prepare yourselves with some talking points to put in the chat when you're attending the various events. Be prepared to ask questions or make a point or recommendations as a Soroptimist. Get noticed in the chat room. Some events, remember, require registration while others allow you to just join. So when the list comes out, be very aware of what you have to do in order to join. So the side events are managed by the UN Women, and usually in the past, when we were allowed to meet in person, it would take place within the UN complex, within the Secretariat building. And sometimes NGOs can also organize side events, but they have to be sponsored by member states. And there are parallel events. The parallel events are managed by the NGO Committee on the Status of Women, which deals with NGOs. And these parallel events used to be held outside of the Secretariat building in different locations around Manhattan. So for those of you who've attended CSW before, you basically don't even have to go into the main building unless you're attending the official meeting, because most of your time is spent attending parallel events where NGOs have the opportunity to show their work, to highlight their work, to share experience and their expertise. There are hundreds and hundreds of these meetings, and the list will be available on the NGO CSW website. Now, regional consultations are being held actually during January and February before the CSW in March. And these regional consultations are organized and facilitated at the local level by the NGO CSW regional offices. There will also be youth events. There'll be consultations in January. A lot of this information you will find on the UN Women website. There's going to be a youth advocacy training on February the 2nd. And there are other events organized by the permanent missions themselves, the UN bodies, whether it's WHO, UN Women, could be the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and all these events will be on the websites, the different websites. there are hundreds of them. You'll probably all have to spend a whole day looking through them in order to decide which one you should be attending, because half the time there's so many wonderful, interesting side events and parallel events that you forget about the main event, which is where the governments meet. So it's quite difficult to manage your time, actually. And in a way, perhaps virtually it might be easier, because when you're actually in New York, you have to factor in traveling to these different spots and different locations. And one of the major events will be, of course, on the 8th of March, which is International Women's Day. And the theme this year, excuse me, is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. There will be a high-level event at which participants will include the President of the UN General Assembly, the UN Secretary General, the Executive Director of UN Women, as well as gender equality and climate change activists and celebrities. So keep checking the UN website for more details as time progresses. And you should check every day because things move very fast and more information is added. Okay, logistics. So we've talked about this already. Vanesa has already pointed this out. Just go to the NGO CSW website and you can download the handbook. They also have a sort of an abridged version of frequently asked questions, where you can see a lot of in very short form, all the details of what is going on. So that's the sort of form you can see now, where you fill in. It's very easy. Even I can do it, so it must be easy. So yeah, there are training sessions, there are regional caucuses where you can meet with other NGOs from your region of the world. Excuse me. Excuse me. So do register as soon as you can so that you can get all the information and organize your life for those 2 weeks where you'll be participating. Now, how to listen to the official meetings. The official meetings, of course, are where the member states, the governments, there are 45 of them that are members of the Commission on the Status of Women, but other member states are also permitted to attend the meetings and present statements. So the question is just to go on the UN Web TV, and I just want to highlight that occasionally it says closed meeting, but you have to hang in there because it's not a closed meeting. Anybody can access that meeting. But recently there've been a bit of a problem with meetings at the UN where it starts off by saying closed meeting, but just be patient. And before you attend, have a look at the proposed organization of work for this session, because it will tell you on what day and at what time the issues are going to be discussed, so that you know, there may be something that you prefer to attend in terms of side events or parallel events, because they're all taking place at the same time. So have a look at this proposed organization of work, and you'll see that they start the meetings from 10 to 1, the morning session, and the afternoon session is from 3 to 6. So there are a lot of side events and parallel events that take place during the lunchtime, but there are also a lot of meetings taking place throughout the session as well. So I would like to suggest that when you attend the meeting, pay attention to what governments are saying. Monitor what they support and what they don't support, and which governments support or disagree with your government on what issues. After the CSW is over, what can you ask your governments to do? What actions do you want your governments to take? And what advocacy measures will you need to take in your specific area of work, you know, what wonderful ideas will you bring back will you use, not bring back because you're going to be mostly in your country, or will you use after you've attended the side events and parallel events? You'll learn a lot. Soroptimists do wonderful work around the globe, helping and empowering women and girls. And we need to also think about what legislation, policies, and programs we want to change or improve. It's not just a question of doing good work. We want governments to establish legislation and programs. Make sure that our concerns at the local level reach governments at the global level, and what decisions and recommendations are taken at the global level are implemented at the local level. So we, SI UN reps, stand ready to help you with this. And if you have any local issues you'd like to bring forward, please let us know. Thank you. I'd like to hand over now to Christine Pierre. Thank you, Christine.
Thank you, Vanessa and Francis, for this important information. Now, hello to everyone around the globe. Nice to be here with you. And now I'm going to be a little bit practical. So what we are talking about, how to be an SI advocate. I am a rep at the UN Center in Vienna. I'm very proud about. And our daily work is or when we attend meetings, so that we are advocating for a Soroptimist. So we have our business cards ready, and we have something about Soroptimist International to make ourselves visible. So as Francis already had pointed out, if you want to talk about Soroptimist or get in touch with someone, you have to know what Soroptimist stand for. Vanessa, can you please go back with the slide? Thank you. If you know what Soroptimists stand for, then you can talk about. And it is not the only thing. You have also to know what your government stand for. So it is good to know the SDGs. You know, this is the SDGs that is something that as Soroptimists have to know. The SDGs are the 17 development goals. That is the slide before Vanessa, please, 11. This Soroptimist Sustainable Development Goals are also called 2030 Agenda, is what also the government knows around the globe, because 2015, all member states of the UN have signed these development goals, and they should be achieved at 2030, therefore 2030. You know, if you talk to someone and you are familiar with this, then you have not, there's a button of discussion. And the Beijing Platform for Action is the second you have to know, because the Beijing Platform for Action, was the first time at the 4th World Conference of Women in Beijing, 1995, when the commitment of the international community to achieve gender equality and the rights of women and empowerment of women was the first time that this was signed by all member states. Can you imagine? 40,000 people have been there in Beijing, 1995. And since this time, we are working on this platform and to develop and to achieve a better world for women and girls, the goals that we have as Soroptimist International. So as Francis already mentioned, you know, we are talking about what we are doing, but you, please, you are a Soroptimist. You are called Soroptimist International. You can also work on to advocate on your local level, because of course it's our duty to get in contact with the member states or with the missions and with the government, but you can also do it because your government, down to the mayor of little village or little town, you can, they have also their issues and their goals to achieve ones of the 17 development goals. Soroptimist International is focusing on number 4 and number 5, gender equality, so violence against women and others, and 5, and education. Sorry, there are around, nevertheless, 4 and 5. So education and gender equality. Of course, we are also focus on hunger or on power, poorness, and we're on peace, other goals. But it is important to know that our goal and our issues are on this special event. And each government, each little town has their goals to achieve one of these. So you can raise your voice and you can say, we as Soroptimists are doing this. What is the issue in our town? What are you doing to support women, to eradicate violence against women, or to support women in education? And that is the bottom of knowledge, and that is the point where you can get in touch, not only international, but also local. So if you go, as already mentioned by Francis, ask for the report, because there have to be a report, each government, and they have to evaluate what they did to get the goal for 2030 agenda. Ask for this, because you belong to the NGO, Soroptimist International. You have the right to ask for this, and then you have the possibility to make yourself visible and our organization. So of course we are on the point, we are acting international, but we are also acting national and on the local level. But and when you get in touch, then you have, of course, you have to know what you want to talk about. So have your talking points ready and begin to discuss. This is the possibility for you also to be an advocate for Soroptimist International. Of course, you have to make yourself also familiar with the CSW process in your regions, maybe because every country has somebody who is attending the CSW. It is a worldwide and the biggest congress for women in the year. So please go on to the next slide, Vanesa. Thank you. So there are another very important information, because every point of this slide, and you know that you can read again because it is on the website, then there's a link to any of these issues. The position papers from Soroptimist International also was mentioned already by Vanesa or Francis. When we are attending a meeting at the UN Center, I cannot say, okay, I want to say something about education. I have also to take the SI position papers, and there are many of them, maybe 25 or 30, to different goals. And that is important because there are all the member states, and I am a rep for Soroptimist International, but I cannot have my own opinion. I have I'm the speaker for Soroptimist International. I have my SI position papers ready when I'm attending personal, and then I say, this is my position, may I have mentioned something to it? That is important. Then we have one global voice all over the world, and you can do it and use also these position papers on the local level as well as in the international level. So the advocacy guide app is very famous and important, of course. You can download this. Please look at it and read, because you must imagine this is the one and only unique possibility for you to attend an international meeting. You don't have to travel, you don't have to fly, you don't have to pay for the hotel, and you don't have a risk in times of this. You can sit at home very comfortable and step into the international level of a big commission like this. So also the Blue Book has a lot of information you have to go through, of course, and the Directory of National Mechanism for Gender Equality. The Blue Book has these reports from your state, wherever you are, all over the world. You can find your special report from your country, because I already said there is an evaluation for every country, what they did and what did they achieve in one of these special goals. And of course, for women and for girls, it's interesting for us. And so you can find a way what makes sense for me, because you may have your own benefit. We are talking here on a high level, we know, but not all of you are representatives at the United Nations, but you shall have the feeling that is something that is also interesting for you. So please go on, Vanesa, to the next slide. So how to make the most of CSW for you? I said it already. So learn from other NGOs, yes, of course, because maybe you know one, or maybe some yes. And if you don't know anyone, then Google them. Mr. Mrs. Google, however you will call it, is your best friend in these days. And learn more about the status of women worldwide, yes, and you must be strategic, otherwise you would be lost, I tell you, because it is really hard. You cannot be everywhere. You cannot attend 24 hours for 14 days. It will not be like this. So I advise, my advice, imagine, so have fun, yes. So sit down, dress yourself smart, because you are at home, maybe, but dress yourself smart, have a cup of coffee, okay, maybe, or a glass of wine as you like it. Relax and prepare yourself for this wonderful experience to be part of this incredible possibility. And please, this is the first step today. This is the first part. You have to make your homework now. You have to go through and find out what is really for me important, what is interesting for me. And to advocate is, okay, write in remarks in the chat. This is the first possibility. Second possibility, if you find something really wonderful, interesting, then write down the email addresses from the speakers, from the panelists. They're always a connection. Then you can connect with them. This is a kind of advocacy. Then you can talk about the in your club, in your region, in your national meeting, whatever. I guess it is like this, that it is maybe really, as I also mentioned, the possibility to make this journey, and to another level of knowledge, maybe. And imagine you go to Sydney or to Melbourne or to Mozambique or maybe to Dublin. You would not go to a place like this without preparing yourself. You know what are they talking about, what I would like to visit there. You would prepare yourself. And this is also a journey for you, the journey to participate in the CSW and take the possibility to be present there. And to participate at CSW can update your level of understanding and knowledge what Soroptimist and all other NGOs can agree to empower women and girls around the globe. So think locally and act locally. Have fun and hope to see you there. Thank you. I hand over now to Maureen.
Thank you very much, Christine, all the way from Vienna. Good evening, everyone. I want to join you live from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm very delighted to speak to you briefly about social media. And like the other speakers have already given us a big brief about CSW, what happens there, how to prepare to be there, what Soroptimist International position papers are all about. Now, these slides I'm going to talk to you is about you. How do you want to engage on social media? What do you want to prepare yourself once you attend CSW? So what? We do have a social media toolkit that is really very easy, because we use just the normal channels for social media that very many of you are already very good at. You know, there is Instagram, there is Facebook, there is WhatsApp, there is Twitter, there is YouTube, and the channels are as many as you can find in the web. So Soroptimist International has got these toolkits that can help you to be able to rally your message, rally your influence together with a platform that Soroptimist International already tweets and already puts messages up there. So when you attend a session in CSW, it is important, like it has been said by one of the speakers, that you take notes and you listen to engage. What is it that your contribution to the topic? What are your questions? What is making you curious about the speaker's presentation? So if you come up with a small message or a small question that you think can help to shape policy or can help to call action for your government or even for other stakeholders to make a difference in social media, that is a tweet for you. And all what you need is your mobile phone, your laptop, or even your iPad. And that is all what you will need in front of you when you are listening to the messages. So once you have a small message that you have put together, it could be a quote or a saying that you had from the speaker, or it could be just part of their presentation that has really captured you and captivated you. You will be able to have that out, and you can post it on your Twitter channel, on your Facebook channel, or even on your Instagram channel. Remember to make a tag to the speakers or even to the organizations that are presenting, and don't forget to tag Soroptimist International or even the UN Women and all of us as friends, because many of us already have Twitter accounts, and we are already following each other on Facebook and also on other social media channels. Don't forget as well to visit the SI Trello board and also the SI lab, because there is a lot of information in the Soroptimist lab. And this has become a very popular way of us reaching out to each other and getting lots of information. For example, even this webinar and all the information that Soroptimist International has is posted in the lab. So be active on social media, have fun. It can be easy, but it can be hard. It can be easy because you are doing it without having to make a presentation, but you really are broadcasting your thoughts and your concerns about issues and your positions about issues. That way you are becoming a global voice for women and girls on the social media. So please remember to engage yourself in social media when you attend CSW. What are some of the effective ways to make your tweets to become popular, to trend, or to become quite influential? Please make use of hashtags. A hashtag is just a shortened way of a particular topic, that a phrase that summarizes a particular topic. And it can just be, for example, hashtag CSW66. So any topic that you hashtag on that one will be able to become quite trending on the top of your timeline and on the timeline of the other influencers who are already on that particular platform. Remember that we do have many topics, and what Soroptimist International stands for: women supporting women globally, opening doors for future, for future, and also having a global voice for women are some of these popular hashtags that you can use. But remember, the topic that you have attended is what you want to really remember the hashtag and get it out there for it to work for all of us, so that we can be able to really be felt, because we are making change where we are, and we need to make change out there, and we need to make a collective change globally and nationally as Soroptimist where we are. As I go to the final slide about social media, I will want you not to forget to actually visit Soroptimist International booth that we have already, the exhibition booth that is on the NGO CSW forum. And there is where you can get lots of documents, like you can download all the documents that we were talking about, the links to the website. It's a big resource that is there in our booth. Don't forget to visit the booth. Otherwise, let's have fun and let's become active on social media, because we are a global voice for women and girls. And since the advent of COVID-19 in 2020, it has shown that we can really make a change, and our voice can be heard even when we are seated right inside our homes. Thank you very much, everyone. And I now want to hand back to our moderator, Leigh, so that she can take it on from there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. What an amazing accruement of knowledge and experience we have amongst our UN reps. I wish to thank Vanesa, Francis, Christine and Mary for sharing their expertise, work and knowledge with us to educate you all on how to maximise CSW66. We'd now like to open the floor to questions. And those people, I see some hands up, but they are up from previously. Please lower them, but you'll see the reaction tab down the bottom right of your screen. So if you put your hand up, we can take them in order. I have my colleagues Bev Bukar and Ulla Madsen. online, and they are going to help me with the questions as well. So the first one I see is Sabine. Sabine Raymond, would you like to unmute and ask your question? Sabine? No?
Sorry, that was still up from previously, sorry.
Oh, okay, thank you. So any questions from the floor? Would any of our UN reps or Bev or Ula, anyone, Maureen, would you like to add something?
I don't have anything else to say except that I went to CSW in New York many years ago. And it's like Francis and the others have said, you really do need to do your homework before you go. The first year that I went, I tried to go to everything. I was totally and utterly exhausted. But now we have the opportunity of staying at home, looking through the website to see which events we want to attend, putting them into our own agenda, because there is a section under the NGO forum for doing that, so that you can have your days planned. I just encourage anybody to have a good look and see, and go to the things that really interest you. Go to the topics that you're really concerned about or have an interest in. And I just hope that everybody enjoys CSW66.
That's wonderful, Maureen. Thank you. Enjoy it and make a difference. Learn how your efforts and a little bit of time can make such an amazing difference to women and girls. Christine, you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I can underline what Maureen was saying, because you, as also already mentioned, you will feel totally lost. In the first year when I was there, if I wouldn't have had Marie-Louise Frosio from Italy, I would have been like a student from the university, not knowing what to do. It is really hard. But don't forget to register, because sometimes with some events you can have to register yourself. And I don't know if we mentioned it. Don't forget, maybe interesting to join the consultation day before. It's also very interesting. So find out what is very fine for yourself and have fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Now I have my predecessor, Director of Advocacy for the last 4 years. It's done a wonderful job, Bev. Would you like to?
Yes, I just wanted to say well done, everybody. And the other thing I would like to say is some of the meetings are recorded. So for example, all of the official UN meetings, if you can't watch them in real time, you can go back and watch the recording. Many of the parallel events will be recorded and they can be found on, the various websites. In our exhibit booth, we'll have a number of things, and when our sessions are recorded, our parallel events, they'll be there for you to watch as well. So when you're planning and you're frustrated that you can't see everything, just know that the official meetings you can always go back and watch, and many of the parallel and side events too. So thank you, and it was a great job, ladies.
Thank you, Bev. Is Sharon, our immediate past president, Soroptimist International. Sharon, thank you.
Hello, it's good morning for me, but not for everybody. It's good to see everybody, and I was just doing some direct messages saying it's nice to be having my tea and toast and not have any responsibility. I'm quite enjoying it. I just have a question. Bev was alluding to the booth, and I know last year when we had the booth, it was a learning curve for us, but there was the ability to have individual meetings in the booth as a way to connect. And it seems to me that would be an opportunity if there's a group that want to chat to set something up. Can you comment on that?
Well, we will be having, Leigh and I will be working on a schedule, and we do plan to have some also guests in the booth that you will be able to talk to and meet. Last year we tried it and they were great, except that members didn't know about them in time. So Leigh will be working on that with me. and Ula and getting some guests together, and I'll let Leigh answer.
Yes, thank you, Bev. We're putting that together. We have had those ideas because we did hear that they work very effectively, Sharon. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to just get better at. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
It's always good to have the reminder, and anyone that wants to help, you're very welcome.
So people could contact you if they want to be involved in a meeting or have an idea for one.
Yes, by all means. We want more working groups and that across the board. So we'll certainly make contact. I'll put my email in the chat box if anyone would like to contact me over that. Thank you. Ula?
Yes, hello everyone, and well done. I also want to say, and take it easy, there are over 750 parallel events, so no one of us can attend all of them. So just pick, as it was said, the ones that really interest you. But there is a question in the chat from Sioma. How can we have presence of SI and actions heard and felt in African communities? So who wants to give a comment on that?
Mary, would you like to start on that?
Yes, I think if I get the question is that our sister is asking about the actions that have already been agreed upon, for example, from the resolutions from the CSW meetings, because like it was said that it's a big conversation and it involves different member states, and it is important to know from your government, are they a signed up member state and what is their position? So depending on the topic of choice, for example, I follow a lot on adolescent girls and young women issues. And when I listen to these meetings, I want to see what is my government position on matters affecting adolescent girls and women, and who else is proposing or opposing certain things that will empower or will affect adolescent girls and young women. And from that, then personally, I'm able now to know who do I get to collaborate with in my region, because I have to make it practical from where I am working and from where I'm having impact. And then who are the other national partners that I can have a voice with so that we can influence our national government. Even before we go to the region, there where we can have the East Africa, because I'm from Kenya, which is the eastern part of Africa. And then thereafter, we can now join with the other African groups and we can now influence our position in Africa. So it all begins from where one is and what is the question of interest or the issue that you are following up on. You will look for that resolution and see what was agreed upon and take it forward from there. Ula, that is all I can say for now.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay, yeah, I think it's okay. Thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Ula. Mary, you had a question?
Not a question, but just an appreciation to everybody. I saw a comment on the chat. I think it is from Eva, scanner from Sweden. She gave a suggestion that we could have a Facebook frame that all of us Soroptimists are attending CSW66. I think that's a brilliant suggestion, and the Global Voice Committee should be listening and together with the communication team be able to come up with a banner or something so that it can show like we all are, you know, a collective group that is attending CSW 66. So I think that is good for a good suggestion. From
Thank
Eva.
you, Mary. We will certainly be downloading the chat and taking those suggestions forward. So that's wonderful. Thank you. Haftis, good morning. Or hello, sorry.
Good evening, Leigh. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Very good presentations. Through the presentations, it was obvious that I mean we were talking about position papers and statements, written statements from SI, and that is something that has been voiced and has been agreed on. This is the position of Soroptimist. So this is a question. When we are attending those meetings and we sign in as Soroptimist, then we should be voicing what is written in the position papers or in the statements. We shouldn't be voicing our personal opinion on topics. And also another question, I mean, this is my understanding from what I was hearing from all those presenting, they're talking about advocacy and the statements and position papers. And also on topics that no, we don't have a position paper on statements that can be sensitive topics. Do we follow UN Women, or which statements or opinion do we follow? That was my question. Those two.
Would you like me to answer that? Well, Hefty's Soroptimist International aligns our position with that of UN Women, so we shouldn't really be different. We should be voicing a united voice for women and girls and all their diversity. Does that answer it?
It does. We're not voicing our own opinion. We're voicing really what SI stands for and the voice of UN Women when we log in as Soroptimists to those sessions and parallel events. And right, that was my understanding.
Okay, and the other important thing to know is that when you are personally making a statement, you are not representing Soroptimist International. You can say you are a Soroptimist, but only, the president is the official spokesperson for the organization, and the president speaks for Soroptimist International, as does the director of advocacy and our UN reps. So we have to be careful. We are members of our club. So you can say I'm a Soroptimist from at Soroptimist International of Chicago, for example. So that's the other thing to keep our position, because only the president and the officials speak for Soroptimist International.
May I say something? Leigh, I think you're mute, so we can't hear you when you are speaking. But okay. I would like to say something about this topic, because it has happened and it might happen that there are meetings, either parallel or side events, where can get contradictory to our views, or Soroptimist views, or other organizations' views. And my answer to that question will be, we will always take the human rights approach, wherever it is the subject. So that will be the way to go in a subject where it's not completely clear. However, if you go into the SI website and you read the position papers, it will be very clear what is Soroptimist standing for. Now there are specific subjects or specific meetings, like this CSW we're having this year is a specific on the gender impact on climate change and sustainability. So in that case, the statements that Soroptimist has right now is specific to the subject, and it has a specific recommendations in terms of shorten the gap in the gender technology gap, or elaborating laws to protect the informal women in the informal sector, to take into account the knowledge of rural women and indigenous women and sustainability. So in those topics, when there is so specific, it's more clear, but it does happen that sometimes there is other topics that might not be that clear.
Thank you, Vanesa. I also want to mention that there are great resources. So if you follow the international website, we have a resource pack a CSW resource pack that you can download, and all the resources on the statement. You'll get your connections with Beijing Platform for Action. There's a number of things on there that you will need to do. The SI Lab, we will communicate. A lot happens very quickly in these next couple of months. So the communication chains and channels are what we need to listen and watch for, because we will be communicating through those areas. The SI Lab, the international website. Thank you, Vanessa. Francis? We are over time, but do you wish to continue? Is everyone happy to continue? Thank you. Francis,
Yeah,
did you have
yes, this is a very interesting question about different positions. Now, of course, we're all members of Soroptimist. We're all Soroptimists, so we have a very, very common approach to improving and empowering women and girls. Where it becomes difficult is in perhaps certain language or references, very specific reference. And I just want to give you some examples, and maybe Linda, I think Linda's around, who's been participating in the agreed conclusions forever, and where governments pay very close attention to specific language. Just to give you an example, recently during the high-level political forum, or last July, that Christine was mentioning about the Sustainable Development Goals, there was a big debate about referring to women in all their diversity. Now, while we might promote diversity, some governments do not. And part of the issue is LGBTI. So while we might support LGBTI, we have to be very conscious of what other governments are saying. There was a huge, huge pushback. Another example that I would like to share is that, as I mentioned right in the beginning, that I am, my area of focus is on older women. And we've been fighting and fighting forever for UN Women and for CSW to refer to all women and girls, or women and girls of all ages, because very often women are considered only within their reproductive age. Anybody above 49 is the official reproductive ending. Anything above that, everybody's forgotten. So we've been pushing for the inclusion of older women, or all women and girls, or women and girls of all ages. Interesting point is that the European Union was pushing for all women and girls. And we thought, well, that's great, that's fine. But the focus of including all women and girls was actually to ensure that all meant including LGBTI. So older women managed to get in under that 3-letter word, ALL, by the insertion of that word in front of all women and girls. So there's a lot of, it's quite interesting actually how governments maneuver and you know, place words in specific and strategic places in sentences, and they might have a different approach, but fortunately it covers older women as well with the word all. But perhaps Linda could give some examples, because these negotiations go, and you go crazy, you know, over all of this, but it takes 4-5 weeks to get it all sorted out. So thank you, Haftis, for raising that, because it's an issue. Yeah.
Thank you, Francis. Now, there's a number of people waiting to say something. Alice Wells, a past international president. Alice, have you got your question ready? Apologies for people waiting long, but I thought you might want to hear what our UN reps were saying. Thank you.
First of all, kudos to all of you for the wonderful presentations. This has been such an informative webinar, so thank you. My question is, where will we find direction on how to log into the parallel sessions once CSW66 begins? Will it be on the SI website?
Yes, and if it's not, it will be within a few days. Even this recording, if you wait for a few days, even the recording from here, so we will have the information up there for you, Alice. But if you go to UN Women, Bev, that would be the best link. Go to UN Women or NGO CSW. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Leigh, if I could just add to that, in order to watch the parallel sessions, you have to actually create your account at NGO CSW New York. You might have done that last year, but they have up to 40,000 spots available. But when you have that information, or you could just Google NGO CSW New York, CSW forum, and you will create your own account. If you don't have the account, you will not be able to participate in those sessions. So everyone should do that now.
Say that again, Bev.
I'll write it in the chat.
Perfect. Thank you.
Alice, you need to register for NGO CSW Forum. Once you register, then you can go in and you can flick through all of the different days. And on each day, you will see each of the events that takes place. And in each event, there will be a registration link. So if you want to attend that particular event, you will click on the registration link.
Thank you, Maureen.
And you will register.
I appreciate that, Maureen. Thank you.
There is another question in the chat about Soroptimist parallel events. Bev, could you give us more information?
Vanessa, can we just wait one moment? Can I hold that one moment? Nora has been waiting quite a long time. Have you got a quick question, Nora?
The quick question is how we get this to the clubs, because I really try always in my club to inform them and to tell them to attend, but it's, in my eyes, it's a big problem. Only the elite, I say, which is here, knows about how to go on with CSW, and this is not transferred to the clubs, and we have to look for a tool how we can do it everywhere.
I'd say if you can take one or two of your younger members out to coffee and talk to them about CSW and just get them involved, just get them to link, to try and bring them along gradually, or maybe get them to watch this session, just to or give them an example of how they can take a project that they are doing right onto the UN and have some type of an effect to help other women and girls around the world. There needs to be that connection made.
Excuse me, but there's the problem that they don't know to decide to which event they should go. We should give all the clubs around the world some information what to do best.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. Christine, do you have a quick one? Because we have Marlene, Linda, we have quite a few.
I know. I want to add to add something, because we are Soroptimists all over the world are listening. For us, it is clear all the time. I want to add that we have an ECOSOC member, and we have the consultative status at the United Nations, and therefore we can make remarks. And we have, as Bev mentioned, we have to apply to give a speech when we attend an UN meeting. It is in forward. That is important to know, but we have the possibility to start because of the ECOSOC and consultative status at the United Nations. And I advise Nora, she shall make a CSW party, invite other members for coffee and watch together one session of this parallel event. Don't be shy, you are Soroptimist.
I know. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine. Marlene is the manager of our SI lab, which is such an important tool for us going forward. And particularly for a time like CSW, if you're not a member, you have to be a member of SI Lab. That's where a lot of our communication will be going through. Maureen?
Okay, thank you, Leigh, for telling this. But I have a question probably to more experienced members for the CSW, and that is, you can imagine that every delegation, country delegation, will be informed by some NGOs. And I don't know how it is in your country, but please find out if there is a link from your national women organization who is a representative in the delegation of your country. In my country, it is so that there is really one woman of an NGO as a representative of all NGOs in my country, really in the delegation, every year another one. And this means that you are very close to what is happening at the moment as CSW is taking place. So if this is the case, that you have really the possibility to link to the woman or the delegation, please let me know, because then we can share information with each other. So perhaps you can put, be a member in the lab, and I will put it in the lab again and ask for your input. I know Denmark has it for sure. Ula is always very active. Hopefully Belgium is active, but I don't know from other countries where a delegation, perhaps you can be part in the delegation of your country. And that is very interesting, because if we as a Soroptimist from different countries can communicate, then we can be a massive block in putting information, words in the end conclusion. Of course, we can have a lot of power if we work together as Soroptimists. So please let me know. Can you agree, Leigh?
I have actually just put out a call to the federations to ask which nations in their federations do have links. Thank you. And Linda next. Linda is one of our very important advocacy advisors. So Linda, you have a question. Welcome to the show.
Well, actually, Francis asked if I could give an example, and I will, or examples. I'll just give one example of how important language is. In our statement, we say that this issue regarding the environment and the climate have been going on for decades. The phrase "for decades" was not taken lightly. Matter of fact, we have precedent since 1949 that not only has the discussion about climate crisis been taking place, but women's importance in that. And another example about the importance of language is that one country recently was balking at us saying that the progress has been slow, until we took them down memory lane with all our prior precedents and language where they were saying the progress had been extremely slow decades ago and it needed to take on a sense of urgency. Those are just two examples in passing that tie into our positions. And then just real quickly, thank everybody for their excellent presentations, their patience putting this together, and thank everybody for being here, willing to take a part of their busy weekend. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Linda. Thank you for your work as well. It's much appreciated. Martina, you're muted.
Yes, I have to apologize because I came in late, but just to answer the question about being a member of a delegation, I was, I think, 4 times a member of my national delegation, and we were 5 NGOs within the Austrian delegation. I know that Canada has always NGOs in the delegation, so there are quite a few countries where you can rely on. The problem is now, how can we be included in the negotiation? But I'm quite sure that at least the Austrian NGOs will be very well informed about the development of the negotiations. And what I will try to do is then go back to Linda and ask her for details so I can pass it on to my national delegation, for instance, because I know that Linda is always in the core of the people preparing the new wording of paragraphs.
Thank you, Martina. Yes, it's very, very active. We have to keep that communication line open at such critical times and often 24/7 at that particular time of the session. Thank you. Ula and Bev, do we have any more questions there? We are well over time, but we've continued to answer your questions.
There is a question from Susan. Can you also inform us when the SI president speaking during the program, the 2 weeks? And Maureen can answer herself, but we will make an overview of what, SI are attending, and also Maureen. But Maureen, please answer the question.
I sent a message actually direct to Susan.
Okay.
To say that we will be doing a flyer.
Yeah.
Which will detail all of the events in which Soroptimists are involved, because there are many other areas from Soroptimism that are doing events. We might as well advertise all of them, because I know that immediate past President Sharon is doing one on the aging, and there is one from Taiwan, and we are doing 2. So we'll document them all so that you have an opportunity to register for them all.
Thank you, Maureen. And that was one of the questions that Vanesa had to Bev, and we are listing them at the moment because we have one with the federations, Soroptimist International with the federations. We also have one that we're partnering with Women for Water, and of course Sharon's, which we're partnering with the older on aging. So there are a number, and Taiwan, as Maureen said, so they will be advertised. You just have to watch your communication chains. Bev, did you want to say anything about that?
Oh, I was just going to say that we have also applied for President Maureen to make an oral statement. When she receives confirmation, usually that's made in the statement is made in the general discussion, but it will be recorded in case you miss it, because that's how they will handle the statements this year. And then we'll post that on the website too.
So if everyone, you know, the website is soroptimistinternational.org, spelt in full. So you watch and you see the members section in the top right. You can go in and there's an amazing amount of information on there for you. And then the communication, we will be using also the SI Lab. So does anyone else have any other questions? I want to thank you all for participating and thank everyone. Thank you to the UN reps, all our advisors, our team of Bev and Ula, Maureen, President Maureen, for hosting this and doing a lot of the driving and panicking on our behalf. It's all come together, and I do hope that you've got something out of this. So thank you very, very much for attending. Our next 2 sessions are February the 19th at 7 p.m. UK time. And the 3rd session, which will be on the review theme, and the 3rd session will be on the 5th of March, 7 p.m. UK time, which is on the review theme. So you've got 2 other sessions you can learn about CSW to still train from. Thank you very much. We will download the chat screen and we'll take everything on board and see what we can do. You're welcome to talk amongst yourselves.
I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you, Maureen.